Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at the DRF race of the day for Saturday, November the 30th. It's race number 9 at Del Mar, the Grade 1 Hollywood Derby. 3-year-olds going a mile and an eighth on the turf. But before we get a look at this big and bulky and competitive field, remember that DRF's Black Friday sale is ongoing. 20% off just about everything in the shop. Head on over to shop.drf.com for more details and use the coupon code BF2024 to get those deals. Here is the field for the Hollywood Derby. You can download free Formulator past performances for the race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Access them, take a look, and handicap along with us. Pretty wide open group. Mike Carson's run, the number 4, ships in from New York for Christophe Clement. He's won 3 out of his last 4. The only loss came at Kentucky Downs. I'm not holding that against him.
He ran well at Kentucky Downs anyway. Yeah, I mean, he's won 3 of his last 4. He's got a Grade 1 win in there. He's just gotten good all of a sudden, Dan. They're going to ship him out here, cutting back a little in distance. I don't think that's going to be that big a deal for him. I guess he's the horse to beat, but as you've already pointed out, this race is wide open.
We take a look at our Timeform US pace projector, and a fellow New York Invader is expected to make the early lead. That's the 7, Donegal Momentum, coming off a gate-to-wire performance in Aqueduct's Gio Ponti. Donegal Momentum, though, can also rate from off the pace, and I wonder if a horse like Chatala, the number 3, is going to be aggressively ridden, returning off a bit of a layoff and switching back to turf. Tirapati also has some early gas.
I thought there was at least a chance that this pace got, even if it's not fast, Dan, I think it could be pretty solid here. Certainly Donegal Momentum is fast enough to make the lead. He's a talented horse, and he could go, but he doesn't need to go. And I thought there were other candidates to be forward in here. This pace might get contested.
If it does get contested, that's going to help Carson's run. He's not even on the pace projector. He's that deep of a closer, but he also has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. Another late runner that would benefit from quick splits is the number 1, Stay Hot, coming off a runner-up effort in the Twilight Derby. This Peter Urton trainee is very, very consistent, Mike. He really hasn't set a foot wrong in his last few starts, and he still seems a bit underrated to me.
Yeah, I kind of feel like he is too, especially when you go back to those 2 most recent starts, graded races going this distance, Dan. He didn't win either time. He was behind horses that are back in this field both times. To me, he ran really well in both of those races without the best trip. He did not get the favorable trip that Formidable Man did in the Del Mar Derby 2 starts back. He was always at the back of the pack. We had a really slow pace last time. I thought he ran really well in there to get up for second. This horse, he comes into this race a little dirtied up. That's a very fair price, that 8-1 on the line.
Although the number 2, Rothschild, has yet to win on turf, he's run some good races on the surface, most notably the Oceanside in his second grass appearance, opening day of the Del Mar Summer Meet. He was just 4-5 wide on the turn there, and I think he ran on okay to be third. I won't hold the Nashville Derby against him. Again, they ran him at Kentucky Downs that day. But I have to admit, I was a little bit disappointed with his most recent effort in the Twilight Derby.
Yeah, I was too. That's my main issue with him. I'm with you on the Oceanside. Maybe he ran a little bit better than it looks there with a bit of a difficult trip. It wasn't terrible, but maybe there's an excuse there, Dan. I personally didn't love the ride that he got last time. I also didn't think that he ran that well in there. I wonder if they just get a little more aggressive with him because he gets out of the gate well and he goes forward early in his races, but they never try to use his speed. I wonder if they try to use his speed this time.
This is surely an interesting spot for the filly. The number 3, Chatala, who hasn't been seen since running third at Churchill Downs on the dirt. We'll take a look at her one and only turf start against fellow fillies in the Blue Norther. Her final start as a 2-year-old, and she's in with a big chance turning into the stretch. She's just going to get outfinished by Medoro, who at that point in time was on fire.
Yeah, she runs fine in here. I mean, if nothing else, it gives you hope that she can handle the switch back to turf here. It seems like she has improved as a 3-year-old, Dan. So maybe she takes another step forward here. I can't say that I love this spot for her, but she's a big price if you like.
Figures to show a little bit of speed as well, and she's already a multiple graded stakes winner around 2 turns, albeit on dirt. Carson's run's gonna come with his usual late run, and it might be enough to overhaul just about all of these. Here's his last start, the Grade 3 Jockey Club Derby, where Dylan Davis just settled him at the back of the pack, swung widest, turning for home, and he's going to pass them all in the lane. Game to get the job done in the final, 16th of a mile or so, because deterministic, the runner-up, is pretty good.
Yeah, Carson's run's just much the best in here, Dan. He was very confidently ridden, loomed at the top of the stretch, outfinishes these horses through the final furlong or so. He just ran really well. And he's in really good form. I don't really feel like dropping back to 9 furlongs is a big issue for him. My biggest issue is that he's a short price in here without what I don't think he has a serious edge on these horses at a short price. And I'll just say that I'm not knocking this horse, but the 3-year-old turf horses this year in New York, not a big fan. Don't think they're very good.
Yeah, a mile and an eighth should be good for him. It is a major question, however, for the 5 King of Gosford, who's stretching out off a win against Restricted Company in the Let It Ride Stakes at a mile last time out. Let's watch that race for King of Gosford, who began his North American career for Phil D'Amato as a 6.5 furlong specialist going down the hill. It was nice to see him win this race at a mile, but now back up in class and up in distance, and that worries me a little bit.
Yeah, found the right field here, to be sure. This is just a good spot for this horse. He's a short price, but he wins it convincingly, Dan. And, I would say just going back to his prior races, cutting back to send him down the hill 2 back, maybe that wasn't his thing. Actually, not that he ran poorly there. I didn't think he got a great trip in the La Jolla 3 starts back. I didn't think he got a great trip in the Oceanside 4 starts back either. So I feel like maybe in some ways last time was the time to have him, but he might be a little dirtied up still.
Formidable Man's going to return from almost a 3-month layoff, but before the break, he was in very good form for trainer Michael McCarthy, winning 2 stakes in a row, including this effort, the Del Mar Derby at a mile and an eighth at Del Mar, where he made a nice, smooth outside bid into contention, turning for home. And once he straightens away, he's going to eventually finish it off. Stay Hot runs second, a Titlan runs third. Just a rock-solid performance for Formidable Man, a horse that paired up Beyer tops of 86 in his last 2 starts. Might need to move a little bit faster in here.
He's a good horse. This horse has been good right from the start. The 9 furlongs is no issue for him. He ran really well in there, Dan, as did Stay Hot. You saw him right behind him at the top of the stretch. They were sprinting home in there. And to me, it was just a big advantage for Formidable Man to be in front the entire way. I mean, that's a sub 35 final 3/8 of a mile. And there's just no way that Stay Hot was going to be able to gun him down, but he almost did it anyway. This horse is good. Stay Hot's good. I even think the horse that finished 3rd in there is good. They're all contenders in this race.
Donegal Momentum, the number 7, is now 2 for 2 in his career on turf for trainer Tom Morley. After getting through a first-level allowance at Saratoga, they stepped him up against fellow 3-year-olds in this race. The Gio Ponte, Kendrick Carmouche, just a smart ride. Got this horse to the front, gave him a really nice breather on the backstretch, and Donegal Momentum does the rest. This horse is just improving with each and every start, and he's so lightly raced, Mike, it's scary to think we haven't seen his best just yet.
That might be true, too. I mean, he's been talented from the start, too, Dan. They started him out as a dirt horse, and he was fine on that surface. But he's bred for turf. He's really handled the surface switch. He's not beating a very good field there in the Gio Ponte, Dan, and he won the race with all the best of it loose on the lead. So it's not like he doesn't have something to prove still, because I think that he does, but he's clearly talented.
We saw a Titlan run 3rd behind Formidable Man and Stay Hot in the Del Mar Derby. He bounced right out of that race to win this race, the Twilight Derby at Santa Anita, going a mile and an eighth. And I really thought he got a nice trip. Everything just seemed to work out for him. He was able to save ground in behind. The horse in front of him drifted out. That created a big seam. A Titlan surged on through.
Yeah, he got a great trip in this race, but he really finishes the race off, too. That's Stay Hot again, Dan. You saw him coming. He's the 4 there, coming widest and fastest into the fastest part of the race there, and he just can't get up. But this horse, he got a perfect trip in that race, but he really ran, and it feels like there's forward to go for him.
Trainer Jonathan Thomas is showing some faith in the 9 Tirapati. He lost this horse for $25,000 in the claim box 2 starts back, reached right in and got him for double that amount out of this race at Woodbine, going a mile and a 16th on the inner. This is a non-winners of 2 life 50,000 claimer. He was coursing for the tag because he has 2 wins. No real excuses, Mike. It looks like he's got it won, and he just can't seal the deal.
Yeah, just can't hold on here. Then he did go a solid pace in this race, but he's tired at the end. This is a mile and a 16th. Now he's got to go a mile and an eighth. You're right, Dan. It's interesting that Thomas would go right back in and claim him for 50 and now ship him out here and run him in a graded stakes race. I guess those are all good signs. I'm still not betting him.
I wonder if the 10 British Isles is the kind of horse that runs to the level of his competition. He was stakes placed in the Cinema, going a mile and an eighth earlier in the year, and then he couldn't seal the deal in a couple of first-level allowance races. And then he ran just fine in the Let It Ride last time out when finishing 3rd. He's a horse that could benefit from a quick pace up front. I liked his maiden win at Santa Anita at this distance. He just hasn't built on it yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen him really go forward from it that much either. I mean, he did run fine last time. It felt like dropping back in distance helped him a little bit in that race. But I don't know. I just thought this was a really tough spot for this horse.
Hard-Headed is up next. No Match for King of Gosford last time out in the Let It Ride. He was up close to the pace in that race and finished evenly. I thought all in all he had a pretty decent trip, as he did 2 starts back when winning a first level allowance race going a mile. So there are some class issues and especially distance. I'm a little worried about a mile and an eighth.
I am too. I did like his route debut 2 starts back. I thought that he ran really well in there. He did get an overall good trip in that race, but I just liked the way that he kicked on there to close that race down. He had a good trip last time. He did not run as well as the winner that day, and he just got second.
Jonathan Thomas also sends out the 12 Twirling Point. He's already a stakes winner this year, having won the Jersey Derby at Monmouth. Last time out, returning off about a 3-month layoff, he ran in the Twilight Derby, the race we saw where he was beaten by a Titlan. Did you see any real excuses in that race?
No, I did not see an excuse from him. I thought overall his trip was fine. He was in contention at the top of the stretch, and he just couldn't quite kick on with those horses. He was off a little bit of a layoff there, so maybe that's an excuse. This is a horse, Dan, that I was kind of a fan of his early on. I thought he had a real chance to be pretty good in it. For whatever reason, it hasn't worked out yet, but there are some starts and stops in there. So maybe he's just had some issues that he's been trying to work through. Putting races together, Jonathan Thomas is going to keep him in another graded stakes race here. I don't think he's impossible in here, especially at a big price. But I don't know, man. I've kind of lost the faith in him a little bit.
Tough outside post for the 13 Cathal, who's going to shed blinkers for trainer John Sadler. This one was a winner 2 starts back in a first level allowance, saved ground at the back, got the split and upper stretch, got it done. Thought he looked pretty good doing it. Ran him in the Twilight Derby last time out. Just really didn't fire his best shot, but I still think there's something here with this horse. I just wonder what sort of trip he pulls from the far outside post. Maybe you just take him back to try to save as much ground as possible and hope the pace is electric and hope you get a trip.
Yeah, I feel like that could be at the right place because I do feel like there's a chance this pace is at least honest, if nothing else. So maybe the closers will have a chance. He spent a lot of time racing in between horses in that grade 2 last time, so maybe that's enough of an excuse. But he's clearly got to improve.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time, pre-scratches and changes. Saturday race of the day, the Hollywood Derby. You like what you've seen from Stay Hot. He's going to get a pace. Let's see if he finally is able to get to the winner's circle. He's, I think, underrated.
Yeah, it just feels like he's taken the worst of it in those last 2 starts. I still think he ran well both times. Dan, giving him one more chance, especially if that morning line holds. I got your top pick second. I'm a big Formidable Man fan.
Yeah, he's won his last 3 starts in Southern California, and I think a mile and an eighth is right up his alley. He's been freshened for this race, so we'll have to see what he does off the bench. But I'm expecting kind of a tactical trip. He seems pace adaptable. If they go fast, he can hang back. Could be a wild finish in the Hollywood Derby. 1648 for Mike, 64713 for me. Good luck.
Hey friends, you look like you're in need of a winner. If you enjoyed the great content right here, just click and subscribe right here and enjoy the great DRF.com race of the days, the phenomenal stakes previews, and so much more. Many of that content featuring me and my exceptional selections. Trust me, you won't regret it.